Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of the SEO Growth Podcast. Today we're talking about content and building an easy mode content structure for B2B, which is a way to decide what kind of content you're going to create and how it's going to resonate with your audience. Today I have Bartholomew, who's a VP of Marketing at Cognism, a sales intelligence platform that you probably have heard of. Liam, how's it going?
Hi, Mava. Really pleased to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on and talk about this because I think it's one of the biggest thing that I've been trying to figure out as well, is like, how do we get this unique point of view? And this seems like I don't know, not scientific, but like a step-by-step framework of how you're going to get there, how you distribute it, what kind of content to create, etc. So I'm super excited to dive into this today. So before we start, just a quick intro. Tell us quickly about yourself, background, and Cognism.
Yeah, so I am VP of Marketing at Cognism. So I started here just over 3.5 years ago when we were like a small team of about 3 or 4 marketers. Now we're actually at 39. So it's been a quick and rapid journey, but very exciting at the same time. And Cognism itself, we're obviously, like you said, a sales intelligence platform, helping companies with B2B data, so that sellers and marketers can reach their target audiences and get in contact. So I think that's pretty much it. Well, yeah.
All right, sweet. So what is the easy mode content structure? You told me that you worked with Todd Klauser and Abad Durrani to develop this with you guys. Walk me through a quick overview and then we'll go into the details of it.
Yeah. So I suppose it's kind of interesting about how it came about for us. So we've been running everything typically in campaigns. We'd launched some campaigns that we thought had done well. They had done well, but it was like we didn't know where to go with them afterwards. So we'd completed like a big campaign and created all this content about B2B marketing, not having to be boring. I think that was all. Hopefully, some people have seen it that are out there, but it was like lots of campaign creative about how to make B2B marketing fun and why lead gen tactics of old may lead you to boring marketing, and if you adopt like an ungated approach, that you might be able to have more fun with your marketing and create more exciting content. But the campaign went really well, but after it sort of we'd maybe got to the ends of that message and the content, we didn't really know where to take it further, and it felt like oh well, we don't really want to just stop on a good thing really, and then we've got to come up with something else. And at the same time, we'd run a campaign to our sales audience that was like about getting your cold calling mojo back, and we hadn't quite got it right, and it didn't give us the results that we wanted from it. But again, there was a lot of effort that went into it, and then all that, it'd be sad to see that content is dead. And we started to realize that we needed to obviously go further than the very stereotypical content writer. Our content role is a writer, someone who writes for SEO, who is very skilled at that side, writing blogs and ranking and all of that good stuff, which is useful. But the bits that we're missing maybe is that digital content and like how to adapt it for and create the content that we want in like video, and plan it out for podcasts and newsletters and everything that's in like what we call our media machine, so like to keep it fueled and running. So we thought, okay, we're going to look for this role, like a creative director sort of role. So we put it out there, like advertising it, not really knowing what that role needs, what it like the fit for it, what is it that we will actually turn this around for us, like give us the answer. We know we've got a need, but we don't know what that the answer is to that. And then Todd Klauser, who worked very much in this sort of like digital content creator role at Finabs for the time, reached out to Fran when he saw that role, offering to run us through this sort of framework and with him in a bed and show us exactly how he thought that we could keep our content engine fueled with these right types of content, and if we implemented this, could sort of be the answer to our problems. So that's how it kind of came about. And then I suppose the whole easy mode framework is about creating, not just running on campaigns, but creating like a point of view for your company that can run always on, um, like alongside all your marketing efforts, and supply you with a variety of different forms of content that keeps you sort of like front of mind and engaging for your audience, and like almost gives you like a human aspect to the company where you can respond with thoughts and opinions that someone maybe would predict your company to have based on the position that you're taking, essentially.
So is your after you worked with them, is your point of view that you landed on still B2B? Don't B2B marketing doesn't have to be boring.
So it's similar, but like B2B marketing doesn't have to be boring would be would come under almost a section of it. So um, they part of it is in creating the easy mode framework as you design this realm of relevancy, which is how you're relevant to your consumer, and how you're relevant to the people who buy from you. Now, we have two, probably have three now, but at the time we were very much on two main personas, marketing and sales. And in those campaigns, we had B2B marketing doesn't have to be boring, and cold calling, get your mojo back. But they're very different topics. There's no interlinking about how Cognism approaches both of those people at the same time. So the realm of relevancy is like how you're relevant to your buyer and like your consumer. So then we came up with this, the top line realm, the top line thought of Cognism is that actually on both sides we're saying that B2B buying has changed. Now within that, you could still have B2B marketing doesn't have to be boring. And the reason why is because of B2B buying has changed.
Right.
And within that, we could have ways of reviving your cold calling, but that would still feed back to the fact that the way you revive it is because B2B buying has changed. And if you're using old tactics, you're not going to get there. So that's kind of like where that realm sits. And then beneath that, we create these different POVs. So different point of views within that realm of relevancy, and in those point of views, different ideas that like feed into those point of views. So it's almost like a big hierarchy that you create essentially of like, which is like the thoughts and opinions of Cognism in the end.
So you said you have 39 people on the marketing team and you have several different people writing different types of content. So they all have to be on the same page about what this point of view is.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And everything, so once it's mapped out, that point of view then feeds into everything that we're doing. So we've actually revamped a load of stuff. So we had for like on the marketing side, we had these episodes, demandism. But to be honest, each time we were doing like these demandism like webinars and stuff, we were coming up with the topic and stuff on the fly, kind of what we've been working with, which actually made it hard to scale. It's like hard to move it forward because we don't know what we're going to keep talking about. So now we've mapped out this like this whole hierarchy. There's these points of views and stuff. We know that we can now relaunch this series, but with like those topics that are going to feed us for like the long term, right? So we can focus each one on it. And that's the same for the newsletter, and it's the same in sales. We've got these cold calling lives and like clinics that we do, but like they didn't, they were very ad hoc, I suppose, what we're doing, but now they have like a theme that they can follow. And we can do the same with the podcast as well. So when we're looking for guests, we're looking for guests who maybe talk about one of these points of views that we have, and we've got like more questions that we can ask them. So it kind of ends up feeding into your entire media
Yeah.
machine.
So when you're developing this, like B2B buying has changed.
Mhm.
I guess, I mean, that's like the tagline of your point of view, but I guess you
Mhm.
have to develop it further so that other content writers know, okay, so what was it like before and what is it like now?
Mhm.
Or what does it look like actually to develop this? What is this? What is this again? The realm of relevance statement or the
Yeah,
the
well,
overall point of view or what?
I think we should get like I'll clarify now that all the names for it are kind of like irrelevant, and you could call it whatever you wanted. But kind of like they're catchy. So we've kind of stuck with what they what Todd and Ben named it. So the realm of relevancy is the entire hierarchy that you kind of create. And our top line thought is B2B buyers is changing. And then within that, we have under marketing sales, we have different point of views. And one, so like I can, rather than break down every point of view and every idea, because we'll be here all day and I think I'll confuse people even more, is one of those point of views for like marketing, for example, is marketers need to break free of being sales support. And then an idea or a breakaway thought from that point of view is marketers need the skills to market to out of market buyers. So that's just basically know how to create demand with people who don't existing, like who don't want it like at the moment. And then we'll do the same, and there's like three other point of views, and we'll have loads of different ideas that break off. So then you could do, for example, we could write quite a few blogs about the need to be able to generate demand. We could, some people are talking about that freely openly on LinkedIn. That gives us a whole load of podcast guests on that particular spark under that point of view. But at the end of the day, it's all feeding back into that Cognism is saying that, B2B buyers changed. And then we'll do the same on the sales side. So there'll be like one of our point of views there is sellers need to become like individual demand creators. And then underneath that, like an idea is like sellers need to build personalized relationships with their buyers. And we can do exactly the same there. So there's lots of people talking about
Okay.
how to like develop a relationship to sell a bit better, and not to use harsh tactics and stuff like that. And it all feeds back into this idea that the reason why you're doing that or both of these things is because B2B buying has changed.
So you have like a visual mind map of this documented
Yes.
somewhere. And does everybody have it memorized or do they have it open as you're writing stuff?
So it's all in a deck. So then you kind of, we visualized it in a hierarchy, and then under each, there's probably a slide each for each point of view with a ton of topics. So yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's rapid how quickly the team has adapted to it. So I'll be just like put on a podcast at the moment, or it's sent to an event to find some guests, and they're just like, I need you to go find a guest for POV1, marketing
Oh yes.
POV1,
How
or yeah, or like this episode's about marketing POV3. So it's like we've rapidly like adopted that the idea that we know what each of those points of views are, and what we're trying to like
okay.
achieve. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to try to reiterate everything. We have the realm of relevancy. This is just the overall thing. What is relevant to the buyers? For you, you got salespeople, you got marketing people. The big point of view is B2B buying has changed. That breaks off into the, what was it again? Get your mojo back in cold calling, which is the main sales thing. And then marketing is B2B marketing doesn't have to be boring. And then it breaks off into the unique like reasons why or how marketers need to change to fit this overall perspective that B2B buying has changed. And then it's just like it feels pretty logical from there. It's just this
Yeah.
is what we've seen. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. So I already have it memorized. I could do it for you guys too. No. Okay. All right. So you talked okay, so once you have all of this stuff done, uh then what do you do? Because you said you
Yeah.
had this point of view before, you had the campaigns, and then you were like, okay, well, we launched this campaign. What's next? And that's why you started doing this thing. So what's next
Mhm.
after you have this framework?
Yeah. Then it really is getting it to bleed into everything that everything that you do. Um, and also to think about the content that we're going to create. So in relation to it. So I suppose another part of the framework is to think about each of the content under those specific like point of views that you're going to create. So and that's to think about whether your content is top down, so to people like to your leadership roles, middle out, or bottom up to like evangelize the users. And what we found is like we had an imbalance. So we were really good at bottom up content for sales reps, but not so good at top down. And for the marketing side, we're better at top down and middle out, but not so good at a bottom up. So we're like trying to think then about all of the content we create to fit our entire market, and then also about and then also we're introduced as different types of content. So type 1 being like informative content, type 2 being like informative content delivered in an interesting way, which could be like our cold calling lives where we get active participation, and then type 3, which is basically edutainment, I think as people call it, like educating and entertaining at the same time. And that's like a lot of what you see like these content creators online doing. So we then just need to activate that in all of the channels. So we've done that. We started to do that. So we like revamped some of these podcasts, like the podcast that we're doing, to have like specific ones for like sales and marketing, which we'll be launching very like soon. We've created a newsletter plan based on these sparks, which we're interviewing people and speaking to different people that we can then add into the newsletter to fit this realm and like work through, I suppose, all of the point of views. We're specifically like writing blog and content pieces relating to each of those point of views to activate it as well. And obviously on the podcast we're doing that will create a lot of like the video content and snippets we need for it too. So, and then it bleeds into all of like the campaign. So recently launched Alice's like CMO diary, and a lot of that fits into a huge amount of like the sparks point of views that we're doing, which is like about this like marketers need to sort of move to like demand creation and like this whole switch and stuff. So it should bleed into all the messaging that we're trying to create essentially. So yeah, the first part was planning it, and the next bit is now that with every bit of content we create, it informs it. And that and now we've got like a plan that we can like logically kind of work through. Yeah.
So you have to rotate. So you're like, we have all of these different, basically you're working off of the point of views at the bottom, I guess, which feed into the main opinion. And you just have to rotate, make sure that you're hitting each one a certain amount of
Yeah.
times.
Yeah, exactly.
In different types of data. Types of content.
Yeah. So like when we're doing, for example, a good way of actually describing how this would work is when we're doing like an organic posting, we'll select a point of view, then we'll select like this like organic posting on the company site. So we'll select a point of view that we would have like maybe written a blog about. So the point of view might be, again, like marketers need to be more the sales support, and then the blog was about how to market to out of market buyers. And then we will take from that a snippet that we can then post on, or a video or something that, or like a snippet of text that we can then post on social, and we will like frame it for either top down, middle out, or bottom up. We'll plan which one who we're going after. So it might be, this is how you upskill your team to be able to do. You need to be getting your team to do this. This will be like top down or middle out, or it might be like, here's a handy tip for reaching, and it'll be more practical, and it might be therefore like bottom up. And then we'll also, if we can, would have planned ahead whether we've like delivered this, like I said, just as like a text like post, which maybe then is type 1 informative, or maybe in the future, I suppose this is a bit where we need to catch up, we deliver it in like some sort of skit where it's like funny, and then that would be type 3, or we have like a walkthrough of it, like of how we might do it ourselves if it was very bottom up, and then that would be type 2. And it's like trying to basically plan each bit of content like that, so we're not just constantly repeating ourselves and keeping it sort of like diverse.
It feels very mathematical.
It's heavy, but like I suppose in terms of like the thought process behind it, that it gives us almost like an unlimited resource, I suppose, of where we can what we can do and achieve.
So how long have you been using this framework for?
So just from the beginning of this year, really. So it's all very new. So we built it out probably at the end of last year, and then January was very much planning how we're implementing it, and now February we started rolling it out. So I think it's going to be definitely like a watch this space to see as like different things launch, that if I mean, I'm quite excited for people to be the judge of it. You know, maybe they'll start to, if they're like that, they'll be actually start to see whether they feel like Cognizant is actually talking about B2B buying behavior changing, and they start to understand our point of view,
Mhm.
and see if they can like see how the realm of relevancy is kind of coming together.
How are you going to know that it's worked? I mean, I could imagine people tagging Cognizant and be like, oh, yeah, this is a clear, or when they're sharing opinions, they're saying, this is the Cognizant point of view, and here's my take on it or something. Or how are you measuring that?
Yeah, exactly. So I think that will be like a I think there's like several different ways that we're like we measure content at the moment anyway. So we like probably look at it like we measure our content massively on engagement. So I think when we the measurement, I always think of two things. So we measure engagement first, conversion second. So we'll have to track to see whether our point of views resonate, right, for one, and the different content that we're putting out, and we'll do that based on like measuring the engagement, which through like clicks, likes, um, feedback directly from the ICP. So like I think like our like yeah that qualitative feedback you get straight away is like
Yeah.
one of the key things, and that's like hugely drives us in which way we're going with it. We have like a self-reported attribution on the demo form as well. So if people start quoting the podcast or the newsletter or anything like that, that we'll know that that's feeding into then conversions, as well as tracking UTMs across the website as well. So everything that we're paid pushing out and organic pushing out, if we can see that that's like those pieces of content bringing people back to the website and engaging with us, then that would be great as well. And I think on top of that, we'll be just looking at the top level view of like where are our demos going and what's our pipeline saying, and listening to the demo calls as well to see, you know, when I feel like when we hit a mark with content, people bring it up on demo calls. Like if they've come through the demo form, people like they ask, "Oh, where did you hear about us?" Or like that we always get people bring, "Oh, I saw this," or like I read about that and I thought it was really interesting. So I think there will be like our main ways of measuring the success of it. And I hope, like you said, that people will be tagging with us, joining in with the conversation, feeling like, oh, I like what Cognizant says about this. I completely believe it. That would be like, that's obviously like the dream stuff that we hope for.
That's the goal. That's the goal. All right. Well, if whoever's listening to this, be sure to follow Cognizant to see this in action. Liam, it's been a pleasure speaking to you today. Thanks for your time.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. And yeah, I hope I've done the realm of relevancy justice.
We'll see what Todd and Abad have to say about it.
Yeah.
Where's the best place for people to connect with you if they want to talk to you?
Yeah, just on LinkedIn, like connect with me, follow Cognizant, also follow Alice and DeCourcy and Fran Langham. We're all putting out content, trying to fit in now with this new realm of relevancy. So yeah, we'll probably be talking about this more as well, if especially if we can prove out its success.
All right. Amazing. All right. Well, if you enjoyed this episode, let us know, leave a comment, say something. And thank you for your time. See you next time.